Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
All right, welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB, and with me, as always, is the old man. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. We're happy to be here. Thanks for having us, watching us live, watching us recorded. We appreciate it. And with that, we have a lot to go over tonight. We're going to be focusing on, hey, how's it going, Jalen? We're going to be focusing on the O-line, doing our kind of analysis of the O-line. Will it improve this year? God, I hope so. And with the addition of Herb Ham and a lot of transfers, we'll go into that. Then we'll break into some kind of recent news this week, what you may have missed, what you may have been reading, and go into those things like the FanDuel odds of the win-loss record for Florida State, which got some traction this week, as well as some things around the country in terms of other sports. So before we break into that, just want to check in, see how everyone's doing in the chat. Let us know how you're doing out there. And then, old man, how's it been going for you this week?
Hey, good man, broadcasting live from Plymouth, or what a lot of people come here for, Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts, and we went clamming yesterday. Clamming. You ever been clamming, KB? No.
Has been high on my list.
Probably not. We went clamming. A bunch of family members went clamming. We had a great time with son-in-law Mike and son-in-law Rob. And Rob used his kayak, and Mike had his boat. So we went off in a shallow area, about 4 feet of water. Got the clam rakes out, man. Got some big clam rakes. If you ever done, and you rake along the bottom, and you feel them, and they come up. You get the clams. Make a long story short, we got a full peck, which is probably about 36 to 40 clams. Took them home. Mike worked his ass off. You know, he cleaned them. He cleaned his boat. Took them home. Put them on the grill. You know, got them all cooked up. We had that. Plus, he and my grandson Christian had caught a huge bluefin tuna. So if you like sushi, you ever had bluefin?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yep.
And I had some great sushi. We had these stuffies, they call them, with the clams and the Clams Casino. I swear to God, it must have been a $400 dinner on the back of Mike's deck out there last night. And
awesome.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. So
hey, I hope I get an invite to one of those someday.
Huh?
Hope I get an invite to one of those someday.
Do you like clams?
Yeah, I love clams.
You like clams? Okay, cool. Maybe you will someday. Soon. Okay. But everything's really, really good. We've been doing some projects around the house up here and blah, blah, blah. How are you? What's going on with you?
Just working.
You still fostering your dog?
Getting a new one on Saturday at 7 a.m. So
I don't think a lot of people understand. You foster a lot of dogs. You've placed a lot of dogs in the community up there in Northern Virginia, and I think that's really cool. Just getting a new. We have dogs coming in from Puerto Rico on Saturday, so I'll be picking up a new one on Saturday at 7 a.m. So if anybody's in the Northern Virginia area and you're listening and you need a great animal, KB's your man. Your man.
Exactly. All right. So now that that's out of the way, we can get into what you guys may or may not care about is the offensive line and the rebuild. The true rebuild of one of the worst offensive lines I've seen maybe in the last decade.
FSU history, period.
I think in college football, one of the worst in college football history, not just FSU.
Yeah.
And if we can expect to see a bounce back this year, or not. That is still up to. We won't know that until we see under the game lights on against Alabama or not. But we can speculate, and this is speculation. It's our thoughts and our analysis on who's been brought in, who hasn't been brought in. But let's dig into that. So let's start off first with the hiring. Obviously, Alex Atkins got shown the door. Finally, I think we could all agree it was a thing coming. And now you could have disagreed with that when you look at several statistics. He inherited a garbage mess. I don't think that is we can debate that. He inherited a team in 2020 that there wasn't a lot of talent. This was a team in 2020 that was giving up almost close to 4 sacks per game. So there was not he didn't take over a cabinet full of talent. So let's give him that. 2021, 2022, you did see minor improvements, through, additions being brought in, the Gibbonses of the world and stuff like that. You saw some pieces being added, but it wasn't necessarily through massive development and through a little bit of development of guys on the roster like Maurice and stuff like that. But it wasn't like an overnight success. And then come 2023, a lot of the mistakes, or maybe a lot of the potential failures of the offensive line, I think were majority covered up by what was an elite, quarterback and receiver who were able to bail them out, along with great running backs. We had Trey Benson in a really great running back room that could break contact, that could break great runs with just a little bit of space. So he kind of got off, but then it fell off the rails in 2024 when really we saw there was no replacements for starters. There was no competition on the offensive line. There was no rotational starters if injuries happened. There wasn't that pipeline of high school recruits that had been coming in the last 4 years, finding positions. And the ones that were coming in, they hadn't been developed. They weren't ready for prime time. They weren't ready to start. Those 4 or 5 star guys he had those 4 star guys he had brought in over the years, and we kind of talked about them last week. They didn't pan out. And now they're gone. Most of them are gone. They've gone somewhere else. And the rest of them now are now with Herb Ham. So it really all fell off a cliff last year. And Alex kind of got exposed for not really planning long-term and really focusing on short-term in terms of the offensive line production. And now we bring in Herb Hand, and we've seen, and we'll talk about his production. But it's his job now to he's inheriting the cupboard full of nothing. And he's inheriting basically what was a 2020 offensive line. And he's now tasked with the job of rebuilding it in year one and doing it against a tough schedule and starting off with Alabama. So let's start off with, what is your expectation of performance in year one, 2025 season with Herb Ham? What is your baseline expectation for what he has available to him and what you expect of this offensive line just as a bare minimum?
Well, first of all, my expectation, I think the fans' expectation, is there's going to be, it's hard to believe that there wouldn't be improvement. When you're pretty much dead last in all offensive categories, especially rushing the football, protecting the quarterback. You had the worst offensive line probably in the history of Florida State football. And I've followed Florida State since the mid-1960s. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had never seen a collapse of an offense and especially the offensive line in that many years as the one we had under Alex Atkins and Mike Norvell. And I don't think you could find anybody in Tallahassee or any Florida State fan that would say that they should have kept Alex Atkins. He was a disaster. I think he was a fraud in what he was trying to do. Even if he inherited a subpar offensive line room, I think he tried to go out and impress people, and you hear this from some FSU sites. The guy's 6'7", 6'6", 330 pounds. And, and it just did not play out well. They got people excited that big guys can play football, and that's not always true. Okay. And in this case, it was total collapse. And I think when you bring in Gus Malzahn, he brings Herb Hand, his offensive line coach. Okay. I think that Mike Norvell is all in, and then Gus goes out and gets Tommy Castellanos. He's building a Gus Malzahn offense, period. And he's going to be held accountable for that. And obviously, Mike Norvell will be held accountable for wins and losses and the level of play. So, but I would expect a pretty good increase in statistics offensively on the positive side, given this crew they're bringing in and putting together. Now, I do have some big questions. And as we start to look now specifically at the offensive line, there's some questions to examine there. And maybe I'll let you kick that off because I do have some thoughts.
And one thing I do, and we can do this before or after, but in discussing the reasons why Herb Hand was brought in and what the expectations are for him as a coach. Some of those things I want to highlight and let me know if this is hard to read or not. But comparing some things here. So when you look at comparison to offensive line performance, rushing yards per play, Herb Hand is coach teams. Texas and UCF are the ones in yellow, and Alice Atkins, 10-yard Florida State is in blue. I mean, these are the reasons why Florida State needs to make a change and why we're hoping to see somewhat of an uptick with Herb Hand, because you see charts lines going in opposite directions from 2022 onward. And you could, and even with the 2023 season we had, you could tell the offensive line, we still didn't have a balanced rushing attack, and then a rushing attack that Mike Norvell and this team wants to be able to have with the players that we have in a running back room. This chart really stood out to me when you look at the rushing yards per game and what we want to achieve. And this is kind of what we want to, the balance we want to start to have, or the ability to dominate on the line, running the football, to take pressure off the passing game, especially since we don't have really solidified weapons in the wide receiving core, sort of like we did last year. We didn't really have big time guys, in my opinion, that were ready to take over. And no one who actually did when the time came to come. So that's one chart I want to look at here. The thing is yards per rushing attempt obviously took a nosedive. Even in 2023, it was around 4 yards per carry, which is decent. When you look at the Herb Hand offensive teams that he managed, you're looking at 5 plus the last 2 years, and you see the sharp decline in Alice Atkins. Once again, this is something that we need to get going in the right direction again, because we only 2.5 yards per carry is not going to do it. You're not going to have a six win program if you're floating down here at 2.5 yards per carry per rush attempt at Florida State even in the ACC. It's not going to work. Other things here: sacks allowed per game. This is something that last year, 2023, we did a decent job of that, and this, why this correlation is so close, in my opinion, is Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is able to, with his ability to be mobile, was able to keep sacks down per game. And then when you lost Jordan Travis, when you went to DJ, that's when they got exposed. That's when the offensive line finally got exposed for Florida State. And we talked about how an elite quarterback and with mobility can really make a mediocre offensive line look good at times. And when you lost him and replaced him with DJU, who was essentially a moving statue, and looked to be injured at times because he just couldn't accelerate to the next level. And he's a big guy too. You saw that sacks allowed per game hit 2.5, almost 2.7 per game. And we saw it on the field every single week, versus Herb Hand has stayed consistent and then kind of stayed in that 1.7, 1.5 sacks per game, which is closer to where we need to be. And I think that's what Thomas Castellanos and Gus Malzahn, along with Herb Hand, will be able to capture this season, or where we want to be closer to with the mobility we have. So
it doesn't even show the quarterback hurries, right?
Yeah. And that's something we can get if you're interested in that. But yeah, exactly. And that does, like you said, that doesn't show the quarterback hurries, but most of the time DJ wasn't getting out of sacks. But you're right, it doesn't show that. So yeah, let's dig into who they brought in first. Because honestly, a lot of these guys who have been brought in are the ones going to be actually starting. A lot of the guys you brought back from last year, they either left, or sorry, whoever was coming back has left, was not competitive, or isn't starting. The guys in orange that you see here are your incoming transfers, and those are the guys who are potentially slotted at being your number one player in those positions. Guys like Gunnar Hansen, Adrian Medley, Luke Pettibon, and Micah Pettis. You have 4 new offensive linemen from 4 new transfers. But I'll let you start because I've been talking for a while. Do you think A, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And B, do you think this will work out in favor of Florida State?
Obviously, it's a bad thing. I mean, what I mean is a bad thing is when you have to totally rebuild your offensive line with players you really don't know, okay, and some players that have not played with a new offensive line coach and a new offensive system. That's never a good thing. That's usually a sign of rebuilding, which when you're 2-10, you're rebuilding, okay? So I don't think it's ever a good sign. And the big sign for me in my head is this offensive line is going to be a significant part and of this result that we're going to get in 2025. And it's an unknown, in my opinion. It is truly an unknown. But we can start. We don't know many of these ball players. The ones that are still on this team from last year are guys who really haven't proven themselves at this level or at any level, in my opinion. So they're basically unknown in terms of proven commodities. I don't see one name on the roster that is what I would call an NFL caliber player. Now, there are players here that this is their final year and should be well motivated because this is their last shot to try to get to the NFL, get drafted besides signing as an undrafted free agent potentially, and you're just practice fodder. That's what you really are. But the guy who seems to be the biggest piece they brought in my opinion, is Luke Pettibon. Luke Pettibon. He's going to be wearing number, 51. He's a redshirt senior. He's from Annapolis, Maryland, and he played at Wake Forest. Now, if you look at some of his accolades, he's a grad transfer. He's appeared in 38 games, 22 starts. He's earned all ACC honorable mention. I mean, he's got some accolades. He's a big guy. He's over 300 pounds. He seems to be the leader of this offensive unit. He comes from a good pedigree. His father, Richie Pettibone. If you've never known that name, I grew up watching Richie Pettibone. He played linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He played linebacker for the Redskins. He was a defensive coach for the Redskins for many years when they were winning championships in Washington. So he's got a good pedigree. He looks like the strongest piece in the offensive line. The question is, can he stay healthy? Why is he still here and not in the NFL? We're going to find that out. But if he's got to have a good season for this Florida State team, probably the line to do well. And I'll switch it over to you a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think there's two guys that really stand out to me. I think Luke Pettibon being the starting center at Wake Forest the last 2 years. He's an ACC honorable mention before started 22 games. This is a guy. This was a key get for Herb Hand. When you look at his PFF grades, and I know some people love those, some people hate those. He had a very high pass block rating. Decent run block running. I think it was in the 70s. Pass block was in the 80s, I believe. I think he's a very, very good player with good experience, and he was a starting center for a reason. I'm not saying that Wake Forest was an elite program, but he led ACC centers in run blocking grade and 4th overall in that grade among centers. So he has some accolades to back it up. He has some metrics to back it up. He's not one of these guys we had last year that they've started 400 games together as he's not just a guy with experience, but no talent behind it. That's what we had last year. We had a ton of experience, but experience doesn't lead to results. Experience, just because you do something a lot doesn't mean you're good at it. And so I think he's a guy that has done something a lot and he's pretty good at it. So I think this was a major win. And the reason why he would move programs is that he believes that Florida State is going to achieve more than Wake Forest. He had a guaranteed job, and he left it for one, probably incentives and probably some money, but two, he wants to achieve something else. He wants to achieve more, and he believes in Herb Hand. So I think Pettibon is, and it's great to have a great starting center. We saw when we had a competent starting center with the kid from Notre Dame a couple of years ago, and I always forget his name. What's his name? The
Gibbons.
beard. Yeah, Gibbons. And Gibbons wasn't an elite player, but he was a competent player.
Yeah.
With a competent center, you can get a lot of things done because they call the shots, right? They're the ones calling things out that, and they're the center of that line. So I think having a competent center who, God forbid, can snap the ball correctly, because sometimes I don't know.
Maurice Smith, who was our center last year, just he's too small. He got bowled over a lot. He's a good kid. Everybody loved him, but he's not an NFL caliber offensive lineman. Yeah. And I don't know if Luke Pettibone is, but we're going to find out. I think Luke Pettibone knows he wanted to step up to a little bit different level team, and he's going to get his opportunity. So I think he's well motivated.
Yeah. The other guy, so he's the one standout guy for me, like you mentioned. The other guy I think that stood out for me was Gunnar Hansen from Vanderbilt.
Check your volume a little bit, KB. You all right?
What does that mean? Is that high or low?
No, you're too low.
Hello, is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Gunnar Hansen was the other guy that stood out for me from Vanderbilt, just due to, once again, his experience. I mean, it's a guy that started a total like 35 games over 3 years. Started 12 games at tackle last year, I believe. He was week 6 offensive lineman of the week against Alabama, which is a good sign. And that's a game that Vanderbilt, upset Alabama last year. He's had some highs for pass grades, pass blocking grades, run blocking grades. He's had some lows as well. So he's been everywhere in between. But he brings experience, and he brings experience from the SEC, and he's shown he can have very high highs. So I think you get a veteran presence, and you get a guy that has a very high ceiling when he's playing extremely well. That's not to say he's not going to have some bad games, but this is a guy that you're hoping for potential. This is a guy that's shown he has it, and he can play at a very high level, and he's done it a lot.
And he's in that critical left tackle position.
Correct. So I think this was a very good pickup, and the one that, if coached correctly, could be, once again, a important critical piece of the line, because like you said, on the left tackle side, that's going to be crucial for a quarterback like Castellanos, who's trusting his brand new offensive line, and having that left tackle is going to be crucial to him. So I think Luke and Gunnar are the two guys I trust the most so far, and I think those are two critical pieces, but we can talk about the other one. So who is your most concerning piece on this offensive line?
Well, I think it's more of a group than one player. And I can take it both ways here. I think my biggest question mark is we know there's going to be injuries. We know that. Hopefully, they won't come in fall practice, okay? But you can almost count on some nagging injuries to come in fall practice.
Yep.
And if you get them to guys like Gunnar Hansen or Luke Pettibone, we're already behind the 8 ball. There's no room for error here. My question is, we look at the depth chart, potential depth chart, which, who knows? Gunnar Hansen's backup is Lucas Simmons. Lucas Simmons hasn't played much ball, if any, for Florida State. He's the backup, okay? To Pettibone, it's Jacob Rizzi, who played some at different positions. He's the backup center that appears right now. So there's a huge drop off of what Hansen and Pettibone are. So that is concerning. I hope Richie Leonard really has a breakout season. This is his final year to make the NFL, to make a statement at right guard. Micah Pettis, who is a transfer coming in, I don't know if he's going to be really good or really bad. We're going to find out. He's on that right tackle spot. Adrian Medley comes in from Central Florida. Herb Hand knows him pretty well. I don't think Herb Hand would bring him in as a potential starter if he didn't think he could get the job done. But to me, they're all kind of question marks. And we're going to find out a lot in the Alabama game.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be realistic here. If this team faces an injury, they're probably screwed on the offensive line. There is very, very little room for error when it comes to this offensive line, because you just said it. The backups, the projected backups, Lucas Simmons, Otto, Nash, Rizzi,
Estes, Daniels,
these guys have a combined, I think, 15 games played together.
And that's cleanup duty, probably.
I mean, at the FBS level. I mean, Rizzi, I know, played time at Harvard or wherever he was, but this is 15 games played total. And I'm talking about 12 backup players total. Right. And that's 15 games played. Andre Allo is your most experienced, who had 3 games started last year, I believe. So, and I don't think he played. I mean, he was freshman, or redshirt freshman. So I'm not going to kill him too much on that. It was probably a good experience. So, but like you said, Lucas Simmons, highly sought after kind of guy. These guys are going to have to show up, and you're going to have to hope, if we do suffer an injury, that these guys are ready to play and that they've had quick development with Herb Hand. Because,
and I'll be honest, I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either. Because once again, it's not like Alex Atkins was hauling in 5-star talent that was needed only a year to develop. It's not like we're Texas Tech and we're signing 5-stars, right, stuff like this. So that's why I say, and the guy you mentioned, in Richie Leonard, he's coming off an injury too.
Yeah.
And he's your starter.
And like you said, well, Alex Atkins inherited a mess. Well, what do you think Herb Hand has been given?
Well, that's why I said it's the same scenario. It's like 2020 over again.
It's worse than what Alex Atkins inherited. Alex Atkins didn't inherit a team that finished last in most offensive categories. Herb Hand did. So, it's a big question mark. With injuries, it becomes a potential disaster.
Yeah, it is, because I think if you suffer an injury to Luke Pettibon or Gunner, those 4, Richie Leonard, like I said, I don't know what to expect from him off the injury. Obviously, they expect a lot. I don't think he was an elite player even at Florida. So once again, that you're still, I think you have 4 starters and kind of a backup in Richie. I don't think Richie's an elite offensive lineman or above average offensive lineman. And you could say the same thing about Adrian Medley or Micah Pettis. Micah Pettis has high upside, but hasn't always shown it. Same with Medley. But Richie Leonard, I think, is a big question mark coming off that injury. And then we talked about the other guys: Simmons, Andre, Mario, Rizzi, Estes, Ty Hilton, Jonathan Daniels. These guys, with how bad the line played last year, none of these guys came in really. I mean, some of them were freshmen or true freshmen, sophomores, but they didn't get a chance to play. I mean, Estes never came in. This guy's been here for like 5 years.
But I think he is supposed to be the guy with the highest potential as a backup.
Well, the guy's got to be like 27. He's been here forever. Like he's got to be ready to play. But that's what I'm saying, is that we could quickly fall into another 2024 situation if we get a quick injury. It could fall into chaos quickly.
Very quickly.
Because I don't see, I see the same level of depth we had last year. And the only saving grace is that we do have a more mobile type offensive quarterback in Castellanos. That's the only type of saving grace. But once again, we don't have necessarily, I'd say we have, and we'll go into this preview in one of our next shows, in receivers. I do think we have more elevated receivers. We don't have a superstar caliber athlete yet, or proven one. We do have some guys with more upside this year, I believe, but we're still sort of the same structured offense, in my opinion, as we were last year. It's not like we changed a whole bunch up. The only big thing I see is the quarterback and some more weapons on the outside. But if we lose one of those starters, the key starters, I said, with Pettis or with Pettibon or Hansen, I think this quickly could spiral.
Here's the problem. The odds of losing one of the starters we've mentioned is probably high. I mean, because that's football. It's
football, but the 2 guys I mentioned, Pettibon and Gunner, have been fairly healthy. That guys like Richie and Medley, they have a history of injury. Pettibon and Gunner have been fairly healthy their careers. That is a good thing. The other the other three guys, Adrian Pettis and Richie, have had somewhat season career injuries before. So that is what it should be on everyone's radar. So we have 3 of our 5 starters have had career-ending injuries or missed an entire season because of injury before. That's concerning to me. That is high risk, potentially high reward, but high risk.
Because right now, it's that starting group: Hanson, Medley, Pettibon, Leonard, and Pettis are all seniors, I believe, or grad students. They're all going to be gone at the end of 25. They're well motivated. There's no doubt about their motivation. This is their last and final shot at the NFL to get to a draft status, which obviously is their goal. But they have a lot to prove, and we know Gus Malzahn loves to run the football. Herb Hand's going to run the football along with Gus, and these guys are going to be expected to lead the way. I would expect they're going to have to grind out 80, 90 to 150 yards in each game, and whether or not they can do that is going to show up pretty quickly against Alabama, when we're going to be our freshest, hopefully, and injury-free. And if we're not able to do that, it's going to change the course of the season, especially if anybody gets injured in that first game.
And the biggest thing, and it'll come too, is the ability of development. How well has Herb Hand had a chance to develop guys like Montreado? No, but at some point, those guys do have to be able to control.
No, I understand, but you have to develop through game experience.
And Andreado played. He played last year.
No,
and how does he get in? How does he get in? So you may see more rotational early in the season, so those guys can get reps.
No, there's no indication. Gus Malzahn does a lot of rotation by either his quarterback, by his running backs, by his receivers, nor his offensive line. Hold on for a minute. He's not going to do that until he gets to the cream puff games that comes after Alabama, Kent State, and Texas Southern at some place. I don't know what it is. Texas at East Texas State or something. These are cream puff games. If he's going to do any rotation, you're going to put him in then, or even get him in a lot of game experience. However, you're trying to get your offensive starters who have never played together to be cohesive as you move through the tougher games of the season, even though Alabama is the toughest game of the season.
That could be debated, but no, I think Clemson.
Do you think that's tougher than Alabama
or Florida? Yeah.
Really?
They have a better quarterback. There's better quarterbacks.
Okay, but as a coach, KB, when do you try to protect players versus gaining experience as a unit? You've always heard that in football. Offensive linemen, they need to play together. They need to communicate together. And to do that, you have to play together. When do you start pulling them from games so you can protect them? When do you pull your quarterback, Tommy Castellanos, from a game? Should you be able to sit? You're not going to sit him out, obviously. If he gets a 3-touchdown lead against Kent State, do you pull Tommy Castellanos and he doesn't start in the third quarter? Well, he's trying to get stats too. So there has to be this communication, because you're trying to protect your quarterback for the rest of the season. Because for Tommy Castellanos, these linemen are going to make their money, and Castellanos is going to make his money. Everybody's going to make their money against Alabama, Clemson, Florida, Miami, these types of teams.
Yeah,
That's where they're going to make their money for the next level.
Yeah, the goal is to get out early by end of third, get guys out. Because look at the way you lost Jordan Travis. You lost Jordan Travis in a trash game, and he lost his career in a garbage game.
In a trash game.
And that's terrible.
Out of that game. He should have been out of that game.
And I think that game was still – and that game I think was closer than it should have been, and that's why – but that's the thing. You've got to put teams away so that you don't put your quarterback – you don't put players in that position. I understand reps.
When you're on the edge in your personnel, which this team is on the edge, There's no number 1 draft picks on this team. There's probably no number 2 draft picks on this team. There's probably no 3 picks on this team. There has to be this balance between guys' production, because guys are worried about their production. There's no doubt about that. They can be selfish. I get that. And what's best for the team overall. So it's going to be an interesting mixture of this.
Yeah. No, but those guys behind it's gonna. But I'll still say it. I think it's gonna be critical how far of, because I don't think there is really any development going on with Alex Atkins at all. Though no one seemed to get better year after year. They just kind of stayed the same, especially the younger guys.
Yeah.
It'll be very, very important to me to see if they do rotate at all, or in these backup scenarios, how low does the production drop? How low? Because if we do bring backups in against East Texas or Kent State or Virginia, hopefully, if we bring then Brock in with these offensive linemen, I don't want the floor of production to drop. I still want to see a high level of offensive line play, because I want Jonathan Daniels and Andre Estes and Lucas Simmons. I want those guys to be prepared to have to play if they need to. I want their bodies to be in shape. I want them to know the signals. I want them to understand the scheme. I don't want them, if they have to be plugged in because a guy needs to sit out like player 2 because he got hit wrong, or he's got a cramp. I want to be able to plug in Brian Estes or Jonathan Daniels into a play on 4th and 1 and feel confident that, oh no, he can push forward and he can run this play. I don't want it to say, oh, it's because he's never played before, I don't trust him. I want to know that the development over the spring and the fall, all these camps, that something's changed in these guys, that they're still on the roster for a reason. Because if Herb Hand talked to each of these players or looked at past tape or practice tape and everything and saw, God, I can't do anything, Jake Rizzi, he shouldn't be on the fucking team anymore. Like, honestly, that's what a new coach should do.
He's not going to be on the team after this year.
He should have went down the spreadsheet of all these guys and said, if I don't think this guy has any chance of contributing, whether as practice team, whether as a second team, first team, they shouldn't be on the roster. In this age of NIL and scholarships and basically unlimited salary cap,
I agree.
This guy, if he cannot make an impact at this level of football, tell him to go somewhere else. We'll use that money somewhere else. That is my philosophy.
Fair, and that's fair. Now, some fans out there who may or listen to this or a recorded version, or whatever, are going to think, "Oh, you guys negative. You're being negative."
That's not negative.
You guys are negative. KD, you're negative. This is reality. This is our reality. This is our perspective. We hope that every guy on here at the end of the year is an NFL first rounder, but that's not going to happen. You know, your backups are really untested. Simmons, Otto, Rizzi, Estes, Daniels, Todd, Hilton. Hilton's been there for a while now. Richard, Nash, ITT. I mean, these guys, you just don't know. You just don't know. And so the run game is a big part of what Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand do. The run game has to get going to release the true qualities of your quarterback. So that we're going to see that. We're going to see. And I don't think Gus Malzahn is going to give up easily on the run game at all. So
yeah.
It's going to be very interesting.
I think, like I said, I think the line has improved with the additions of the transfers, but it'll be up to, if somebody goes down or if they have to rotate somebody in, are the backups, have they been developed at all to be able to be plugged in and make an impact?
And the other thing in KB in the fall practices, you can't put, you're not going to put purple shirts on your good linemen, starting linemen, so they don't get hit in practice. If they're not hitting in practice, at some point, I mean, full speed, how are they ever going to be ready for an Alabama?
Yeah.
How will they? And I'm not saying Alabama's going to win the national championship, but Alabama is going to be, they've got some players. So, it's going to be, we're probably going to sustain some injuries in fall practice, and we just hope doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, you absolutely don't hope injuries happen, because you don't want it to happen. You can't afford it to happen.
But in my mind, It is an unproven commodity, the offensive line. One, the starters have never played together. Two, they're all redshirt seniors basically, so they're not looked upon as being super offensive players, and injuries could be a real problem. So there's a big question mark and cloud over that offensive line.
Yeah, and I think the big thing to remember too is that it really can't get much worse than last year. I mean, it could stay the same.
Oh, it could not get worse. It's not going to get worse. No, it'll be better than last year. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think that's the only real positive there is that it can't get much worse. I showed the charts before. I showed the production. That is the positive. That's the one positive is that you saw the declines. You saw, and that was just because there was no development. And so bringing new guys in, bringing fresh blood in, and I believe, like I said, in at least 2 to 3 of the positions, a clear upgrade, and then the other 2, I think it's a linear or kind of same to same performance difference. You should see an uptick with those starters of increased performance, especially with a new scheme and a new quarterback as well.
If this team is not able to win split, let's say, I think there's 4 top games I'm looking at. If we're not able to go 2-2 in those games, Mike Norvell's job could be in trouble. If he's not 1-3 in those big 4, I call it the big 4, Florida, Miami, Clemson, and Alabama, and there may be one other game in there. If you can't go 2-2 in that group, I don't know. I don't know how fans are going to feel, even if you ended up winning 7 games for the season. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, any other notes you want to add to the offensive line?
Not on the offensive line. I do have. Do you have anything else on the?
Well, I was going to say, I showed some of those graphs before. I showed some of the performance, numbers. How do you think they'll rank among, kind of overall? Do you think this is going to be a top 50 offensive line? Do you think it's going to be?
I think so. I hope so. A top 50. I mean, we were worst at 132, I think it was 131. You don't have to go and look all that up, but it was. I looked at it last year. It was really low. Overall offense, I think, should be in the top 75, top 50. I hope hover around 50, maybe.
Yeah, I think last year, looking at national rankings, they were somewhere like bottom 120. So.
Oh, it was down in the 130s.
Yeah, so this is something I pulled.
And the other thing is, KB, it really doesn't matter what it is, or at East Texas State or Kent State, you could pile up 700 yards. Who cares? It's immaterial. So if you take those cupcake games out of the statistics at the end of the season, and you see what did they do against the big 4 teams or the big 5 games on this schedule, the big 5. What happened in those stats? And we should do that at the end of the season. What are those numbers in the big 5 games? What was the record and what were the numbers?
Yeah. So just for reference, I mean, Herb Hand's offenses in the last 3 years have been in the top 30 nationally offensive line positional ranking, and Florida State was, like you said, bottom.
I think that's a huge upgrade. I think Herb Hand kind of has an idea of what's going on. But he may, when he goes to bed at night, he may go, I may have to pull a rabbit out of the hat because these aren't the guys I really need. So I'm going to get the best out of them I can.
Yeah, and I think to win.
To do that, you have to simplify your system. You have to look at the players you have, and you have to simplify it. Because if they're not getting it by being complex and having complex play schemes and all this,
Well, and to win 8 or 9 games, you don't have to be elite, but you have to be good. You have to just be good, average to average plus. That's all you have to be. You don't have to be elite. Right. If we're not expecting to win the ACC, not expecting to go to the playoffs, we just want to win 8 or 9 games and be competitive. All you have to do is be average plus in the ACC.
Right.
To stay competitive.
This is a rebuild season, and unfortunately, the next year, 2026, is another rebuild season. We're in a rotation of rebuild situations. Yeah. And that leads us to I'll lead us into something else. It's a good lead into. I think it was DraftKings or Vegas or somebody, and this is legit. The odds on, or were as of a few days ago, the over and under on Florida State for the season is 6.5 wins. 6.5 wins. And I looked at that and I said, I may put some money on that. Now, we are not suggesting people bet. We're not saying people should bet. We don't have anything to do with betting. I don't ever bet, really. But could Florida State win over 6.5 games? That meaning 7 games. I might take that. I think they have the possibility. What do you think? Would you take that? Really? I don't like that.
I don't know. I mean, these sites and these
that's
Vegas.
Now. That's DraftKings.
I know, but
I think it was DraftKings. I can't remember.
DraftKings is basically Vegas. So I mean,
what does MGM have?
I don't know if they've. I don't know if they published theirs yet, but like I said, I see.
You like the number? I don't care what site. Do you like the number 6.5? Would you go under?
Which is 7 wins? Do I think they can get 7 wins? And I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very, very close. I don't know if I would bet if you had to say there's a minimum.
Well, we know there's 2 wins in the bag. We got 2 cupcakes for sure. So there's 2.
Right, I can't say there is any cupcakes after last year. I can't say we're gonna beat Kent State.
We're not going to.
You just saw a 2-win season.
No.
How is anything taken for granted anymore?
Baby, come on. You need to win 5 games to take the over. Can you see 5 games?
It's 6.5. How are you getting 5?
No, we're going to get 2 wins for sure. We're already guaranteed 2 wins. What's that other team? East Texas or
East
Texas.
Okay, yeah, East Texas. If we lose that, he's fired on the spot.
If you lose either one of those games, he's fired. He'll be
spot.
gone, and Gus Malzahn will be the interim coach.
They're so bad they don't even show them on FanDuel. They're so bad they don't even show the team on FanDuel. So I can see. I can see at least 4 wins.
Put cupcake in there for September the 6th. Cupcake.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Everybody says the Virginia game is going to be a trap game.
Okay, then you shouldn't count that then. So I see 3
I
then.
think they'll beat Virginia. If they don't
4.
beat Virginia,
I see 4. I see 4.
Very disappointing.
4.
After the 2 cupcakes, you only see
Virginia and Stanford.
So you're saying only 4 wins on the season?
Only 4 locks.
Virginia Tech is a win. Wake Forest is a win. There's 2. We already got the 2 cupcakes. There's 4. We'll beat Stanford. There's 5.
But remember, you're traveling to Stanford.
I'll
and
take
that's a 10:30.
That's your 6th win. I need 1 more win. Pittsburgh. I don't know about that. Virginia Tech. Yeah, it could be close. You're right. It could be close.
It's going to be very close. Last 2 games of the season, you're traveling to Raleigh on a Friday night, which is going to be crazy. You have to then travel to Florida. 3 of your last 4 games are a gauntlet. 3 at Clemson, at NC State, at Florida. You could go 0-4 that last 4 games easily.
Yeah, I could see a lot of scenarios here that Mike Norvell could be fired, and he could be fired halfway through the season, and Gus Malzahn be the interim head coach.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about he could be fired like that. Let's not talk about that.
Well, he could be.
I don't know. We're not doing a season preview yet. Let's just.
No, we're not. We're not.
Let's
right.
talk about it. And I said 6 games is hard
right
to.
Now, you would take the under. You would take the under.
I'm not taking anything. But right now, I think it's not a guarantee that there's a reason why they picked 6.5 because a lot of these games are going to be very, very competitive.
Of course.
And that's why it's at 6.5 and why it's not at.
You go $50 with me. You do 50, I'll do 50. We'll take the over.
Sure. Okay. I'm not going to bet FSU under. Like that's stupid. I don't want them to lose games. So I'm not going to take the under.
Well, if you thought they were going to lose it,
I have never bet for them to lose games. I'm never going to bet for them to lose games. Okay. That's stupid.
All right. And the last thing I have, and then we'll let you go on, is what else you got on football?
I mean, I have some other things on
Go
football.
ahead.
No, you go to your next thing. I'll
Well,
pull it up.
what do you think of the stuff that's kind of ping ponging back and forth on Saban
Oh,
coming
this is so
back to
stupid.
football?
Well, I told you not to bring this
No,
stupid
I'm
stuff.
you just said, I mean,
So
it's out there.
stupid.
People are looking
It's
at
not
it.
out there. One stupid
It
spam
is
site
out there.
put it up.
Okay,
It's
you
not
think
out
the whole thing's clickbait scam?
Okay, let me see if I can find it. FSU Nick Saban.
You think it's clickbait
It's
scam?
clickbait. It's
Clickbait
clickbait.
scam. And I know I'm familiar with clickbait scam on
So
different sites.
let's look how people are talking about it on here. Florida
You got
State here. So FSU named top Sports Illustrated. Okay, clickbait.
Sports Illustrated. So is this all made up?
This is yes. It's all. It's look at so all these stupid sites are doing clickbait. It's all
Okay,
stupid.
good enough. We don't need to spend any time on it. We know.
You know why it's stupid? You know why this is stupid?
Yeah.
Because he's 72 years old. He would be the old. Mac Brown just retired at 72.
Yeah,
He was terrible.
How old is
Bill Belichick is now 72, who just replaced him,
Yeah.
which I think is a terrible move.
Okay.
And Nick Saban in what 1 or 2 years is going to come in and be the Florida State quarterback at 73 or 74. And we think that's a great idea. Like this is
how old was Bobby Bowden when he left?
too old. That's the answer. We know
In his
that.
70s,
And we know that. And we know he was too old. So I mean he was past
I
his
mean,
kind of
funnier
prime.
things have happened in football. Funnier things have happened. Okay.
But once again, there's no sources for this. Like, what is the source of this?
I thought there were some authors there. I didn't look heavily into it. Okay, good enough. Let's move on.
It's
Okay,
just
we
it's
see
dumb.
no credibility in it.
I
correct?
don't. If someone can say there's credibility to this, great. But I think it wouldn't be great for Florida State. And I just I
Isn't
think
there an author on this article right there?
Dustin Lewis
What's
is the author.
up there. Dustin Lewis. He's a Florida State guy. He is a Florida State
What
guy.
does that mean? I don't care if
not
he's a Florida State guy.
He's not a scammer.
I didn't say he was a scammer. But just because you post something on the web doesn't mean it's accurate or there's anything to it.
Well, no, I understand media likes to write stories, and they
Shit, go to
write
CNN
something.
or Fox and see all the crap they post on their website.
No, I understand. Okay, all right, good enough. Good enough. What
Like,
else? You got?
Even it says talk about over essentialization. Like it's just for clickbait, and we clicked, so they got us. Great, they got us.
Well, you know what? If that's what that article's about, if that's what Dustin Lewis does, then hey, you're in the wrong business, bro.
No, he's doing his job, and we click. So,
Okay.
okay. What else do you got? What else?
Hopefully, I think he's been a credible type guy, and we'll see. I don't have anything else on football. I got a little something on baseball.
Yeah, going to baseball.
Baseball, I think it was a record for Florida State. They had 11 players drafted. I'm not going to go through them all. I just want to say congratulations. Jamie Arnold led that group. I think he was first round, number 12 or 15 or something like that. And that was pretty well predicted. Maybe thought he might go a little bit higher, but first round's always good. That's where the best money is. But 11 off this 25 baseball team got drafted. Now, however, everybody's going, oh my God, the team will be decimated. That doesn't mean all 11 are going to go and sign MLB contracts. They have the option, if they have time left, they could come back and play with the sense of, I'm going to get better results with one more year. Okay. And generally their agents will tell them that or whatever. So we're hoping that at least 3 or 4 of these guys may come back to the Seminoles, right? I don't know when those decisions are made. Now, if my son was a pitcher though, right, and he got drafted in the 5th round or 6th round, which is probably, I don't know, 350,000, 400,000, maybe up to 600. As a pitcher, things can go wrong. So if you come back to college, you're risking a career-ending injuries versus okay, I'll go in and start pitching at a strong single A level, and get paid. Yeah, but if a pitcher comes back, and there were 2 or 3 pitchers at Florida State, but they were late rounds, if they can get the same money in college, why not come back to college for another year? Yeah. I think it's going to come down to some money.
It's better than minor leagues, yeah.
I think so. Come back, try to get to a second or first round pick with your pitching, and really make some big money, and have in your contract at Florida State an insurance policy.
For
right?
Sure. Yeah,
I think a lot of them do anyway.
I think this stuff, this NIL stuff, could kill the minor leagues potentially. Unless minor leagues, once again, I'm not in touch with MLB. Right. I watch some, but I go to some, but I don't follow the. But minor leagues has been known for being like kids go there and they do the circuit, but they sometimes have to get second jobs because it doesn't pay them enough. Like they're making $30K a year.
Especially the single A ball players. I mean, you got to get to AAA. You got to get to AAA within 2 or 3 years.
But these are good players too. They're just not good enough to make the MLB.
There's no doubt. In fact, this Saturday, I'm going to the Cape Cod Baseball All-Star Game. And if you're familiar, Cape Cod Baseball All-Star Game is top-notch Florida. There's some Florida State guys in the league this year. So we're going to go to the All-Star Game on Saturday. They have the home run contest at 2 p.m. It should be a good crowd there. They'll have 5,000-6,000. We're a little concerned about getting there early, and it'll be a fun game. Last year, I talked for a few minutes with Jamie Arnold. He was there. Yeah. Okay, got a picture with Jamie Arnold, who was pitching. There were 2 or 3 Florida State guys on those teams. That's the top-notch summer baseball where they go from aluminum bats to wooden bats, which gets them ready for MLB, because MLB is all wooden bats. Yeah. So hats off to Link Jarrett, who I believe is the right coach for this team. He'll take this team. He'll be very competitive. He's a great recruiter, and hats off to him and all the players for a great season and what they've accomplished.
Absolutely. All right, I got a couple of final things here, quick hitters from all around social media that I want to hit on.
It's okay, says Jalen, for the Saban thing.
Yeah.
So he agrees with you.
Yeah.
And then Anonymous 11th. I don't know what the hell that means. Hypnotic, tell us what the hell you mean. I don't know what that means. Do you? 11th. I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
So this week On3 put out their top 10 college quarterbacks for the ACC edition. Castellanos was not on it. Want to get your quick reaction if anything stands out here, if you think he should be considered a top 10 quarterback in the ACC. I mean, there's only 12 teams, 14 teams. Do you agree, disagree with this list? Anything you want to mention here?
Yeah, I think he's going to see it as a real diss. I think it'll be a motivator for him, which is okay. I think he's better than Drones at Virginia Tech. I think he's probably better than Gio Lopez at this point, right? Yeah. I think he has more production there. I think it's a snub from the list. I think it'll be a motivator for Tommy Castellanos. I think Carson Beck, which I saw, he was getting like over $1 million, a couple mil. I think it's outrageous. Some crazy. I think it's outrageous, and that's my opinion.
Okay. Let us know in the chat if you guys disagree, agree, or how you think he'll end up in this list at the end of the season. Other thing related to Thomas Castellanos. So we know how he kind of made the statement about Alabama and kind of talking trash. Well, he's been throwing around with on the Bama receivers, in the summer here. They do these, they all hang out, players, stuff like that. But it was caught on who's kind of walking back his comments a little bit. So I'll play this clip here, and you can make of it what you want here.
Bro, you watch any interview, I don't never talk like that, bro. But them boys coming off of 2-10, I just install some confidence. Feel me? That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get some confidence. Yeah, I'm trying to get my boys ready to go. Feel me? I'm trying to make it the biggest stage. Feel me? That's all. I'm trying to make it the biggest stage possible. Yeah, I'm trying to make it the biggest stage.
I feel the same shit, bro. Because I ain't going to let no her mother.
You feel me? I think it's a goddamn. You got to go out with a bang.
So he basically said he really did walk back his comments. He was like, I was just trying to, well, yeah, some people are taking this wrong. Some people are saying he shouldn't have walked back his comments. He should have kind of stood on what he said. He shouldn't have, he shouldn't, he's kind of talking about them as in, he should say us instead of, he's saying them, not us. So people are saying, I can see both sides of it. He's trying to, I don't know. But people are giving him crap about this. Like,
I know. He's talking some trash. That trash by the opposing team is going to be, whether he means it, whether
he just walked it back. He just walked it back. He's not talking trash.
I don't care what he did. If he says I'm just trying to motivate my own guys, and everything, and that's cool. That's cool. But anytime you talk trash, it gets out nationally. It's going to be bulletin board material for the opposing coaches. Period. Opposing coaches or any coach wants to constantly motivate their players. They're going to take anything the opposing team says, whether the guy means it, whether he walks it back, whatever. It's going to be thrown in the face of your players to motivate them to kick your ass on the other team. So, he's going to have to back it up, and that's the bottom line. Let's not make a big mystery out of it. That's been around for many, many years.
No, but it was stupid for him to walk it back. Like now he's an asshole both ways.
Should he have doubled down?
Yeah, I mean, he should have just stood on it. But now it's like he didn't mean it.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Other things is Indiana. They're making news because essentially it is now because now you have the power conferences of the SEC and Big Ten. You're seeing more and more of these teams. Indiana made the playoff last year and they essentially didn't play anybody. They just made their conference and they lost and they still made the playoffs. Well, now they've paid $500,000 to get out of playing Virginia in the 2027-28 year, and they canceled that series. And now they've added games to Kennesaw State and Austin Peay and Eastern Illinois. So now, if you want to look at what their non-conference schedule looks like for the next 5 years, they don't play a single Power 4 conference team in the next 5 years in the conference. It's not, because they didn't hurt them this past season. And that's when they said, oh, this didn't hurt us anymore. We just play in the Big Ten. So by default, if we're competitive, it doesn't matter anymore. And this is what all these schools in the Big Ten are big SEC. Look at the schedule. Look, Indiana State, Kennesaw State, Old Dominion, Colorado State, Western Kentucky, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, UMont. They don't play anyone out of conference.
You're saying if they were able to win the conference, it's not going to hurt them.
No, they didn't even win it last year and they got in.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, okay. But they were undefeated, so.
But they lost the conference. Like Florida State got to the conference championship, won it, and didn't get in. That's what I'm saying. Is that now that they got basically you have a hall pass now. If you're in the Big Ten, SEC, because there's so much bias, you don't have to play anyone out of the conference anymore.
I agree. I thought the trend was to really schedule tough games.
No.
And that gets you on TV. That brings in more revenue. We'll see what happens.
I mean, that's why it's so critical to be in the club, because then you schedule crap like this and just play your regular conference.
I agree. Florida State needs to leave the ACC. I've said that for 2 or 3 years now. Whatever. This is the biggest thing they need to do is get the hell out of the ACC and get into the SEC or the Big Ten. Period.
Yeah.
So they can figure it out. They can figure the money out. They can figure out what date they're going to do it, but they need to do it.
Last two things. So talking about finances and universities and stuff like that, USC's new interim president, said there will be painful changes coming to the university because of an unsustainable deficit. She said in a letter that their deficit in excess of $200 million for the fiscal year 2025, and that they had a fiscal deficit of $158 million in 2024. How do these schools, like, in the age of like paid athletics and revenue sharing now, how can they, like, how do you balance the books here? Your school is losing $200 million a year, you say, but then you're going, like, do you just cut every other school except for football and basketball? And then, like, how do you tell that to alumni and students that, oh, hey, like, we're hemorrhaging money, by the way, but we're going to still pay the quarterback $5 million a year?
Well, the first thing you have to do, I don't care anybody's budget. It could be your budget. It could be my budget. It could be a business budget. It could be a university budget. You got to pay your bills, okay? And then you got to figure out, what are your bills? Why do you have this bill? Can we get rid of the bill? You know, it's ridiculous. Some of the money. I mean, when they were talking about Trump and Harvard and how much money was going from the federal government into research at Harvard or other universities, the amounts of money flowing into these programs is incredible. I don't know. You know, I mean, back in 1973 when Florida State, and I was there, they were 0-11 and 74. They didn't get much better. They were talking about dropping football because of the expense it was. So, you know, it's business decisions. How many faculty do we need? How many sports teams do we need? How are we going to pay these? You know, it's business. And I don't have the answer to their problem. You know, eliminates a dozen jobs. It manages revenue sharing. You know, they got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Every university has to figure it out. Every business has to figure it out. I saw you and I were talking offline about the cost of going to a Florida State game. I saw somebody write a comment somewhere I was reading. It was a Florida State guy, and he goes, you know, it's going to cost me X amount of money just to go to the Kent State game. And then, you know, it was several $100s, transportation, lodging, ticket prices, which on TickPicks, I saw tickets at Kent State. You can get in for $30, $20. So,
Yeah,
you know,
no, I saw that.
The hotels are all jacked up. The restaurant, you know, it's for a family of four. I don't know how family of four goes to an Alabama game. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, you're going to spend a few $1,000s for the experience. So that's okay. I don't mind watching it at home.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather.
You got a budget. Everybody's got a budget. They got to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing I want to jump on, because people make a big deal about rankings, and we talk about recruiting rankings and stars and stuff like that. But you have to remember, each of these sites has some biases. This quarterback, Oregon commit, you know, jumped up, and now he's in the top 50. And this guy points out he jumped over 800 spots after switching his commitment from Boise State to Nike, aka Oregon. So you have to remember that these sites, there is no methodology. They don't publish, well, this is why we rate this guy to this way, and this is why this guy jumped 800 spots overnight. Is it because he committed from Boise State to Oregon?
Ridiculous.
Maybe, probably some bias in that. Because they'll never tell you the formula that made him jump 800 spots.
It's ridiculous.
That's no dissing the kid. That's dissing the transparency in the sites and how each site has different rankings for different kids. One kid's a 5-star on the site.
Money issues like at USC or these other universities that, who was it, Texas Tech, they paid that lineman over $5 million supposedly. Ridiculous. I don't feel bad for how you're budgeting. That's your problem. I don't want to hear about it. And then you start putting those budgeting issues on the backs of your fans. Florida State, there are a lot of Florida State fans that are upset, okay, because they're basically being out budget going to games. So they have to go to these cupcake games. In fact, I talked to a very close source that said, you know, I am tired of having to only be able to afford to go to cupcake games. It's not that much fun. You know, it's a blowout most of the time. And I'm still spending a lot of money. I can't even afford to go to a competitive game. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Kent State could be competitive.
No, but that's how it is for everything. If you want to go to a Metallica concert, it's going to be expensive. If you want to go to the best shows, the best experiences, it's always going to be experienced. But I'm telling you, it's not just Florida State football. It's for everything.
No, I agree. I understand. I put a value on everything. It has nothing to do with my checking account. It has everything to do with, I think, the value of the event I'm going to is. And my values are really conservative. Okay. I'm really conservative. I'm not going to go to a concert where a guy's got 6 houses and I have to pay $200, $300 to see a guy. Not me.
All right. Is there anything else you want to go over before we say goodbye here?
No. I think we've been realistic. It's our perspective. Nobody has to agree with our perspective. And there's a lot of people. There are people out there that are hugging and kissing because that sells and gets subscribers. We love the viewers we have. We have loyal people. I think that, and this came up last time. And
Jalen.
Yeah, we missed you last time on that, Jalen. We're going to address that.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand, if you can hit that subscribe button for us. If you're not a subscriber, please do. And that helps us more than anything and motivates us a little bit because we're going to do it whether we have 1 subscriber or 10,000 subscribers because we like doing it. But Jalen Stiff, you asked last time, and here's the key question for KB.
I haven't downloaded. I haven't played it yet. So I'm hoping to play it either tonight or this weekend. So I have it ready.
Well, what segment? What are you going to play? Like you're drafting? I don't even know how it works. I love playing those games though. You and I have played games on those. I love that game. I've always loved.
Yeah,
and it's got to be more realistic now than ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a dynasty. They got like NIL and stuff, and then I heard
which way do you like playing it?
What do you mean? I like just coaching. I like coaching and doing the management stuff.
Are you going to play the schedule? Why don't you play the schedule that Florida State's going to have? Why not?
I like building up a program. I like building up a smaller program and then getting different jobs. I don't like playing as Florida State.
Okay, cool.
I will eventually.
I don't know if Jalen's still there.
Yeah. But let us know, Jalen, how you're playing.
Jalen, can you play online?
I don't have Xbox online. I play offline fully. I don't play against people. I just go at my own pace. Sure, I'm scared. Yes, that's it. But yeah, I'm hoping Jalen to get into it this weekend. So I'll give you a full review next show of how I think and
of what you like about it and what you think could be improved about it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
One of the classic games, buddy.
Yeah.
One of the classics.
But yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight, whether you're watching it live with us right now or in recording. But I think we gave a fair assessment of the line. Like we said, I think we expect better things this year from the starters that we brought in, higher level of talent and production. But our main concerns are what will happen if somebody goes down and has development happen in the offseason with Herb Hand. So we'll leave it at that. Let us know if you disagree or agree in the comments. Once again, we appreciate the likes, follows, subscriptions. Yep. We always love seeing you guys here. So we will see you all soon. Have a great weekend. Have a safe one. And we will see you for our next show in our position preview, which will likely be running backs, receivers, or some combination of those things. So thank you all again for the time. Take care and have a blessed day. We will see you all very, very soon. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So you get the latest updates of what we're doing. Take care, all. See ya.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take